Kundikhanyela It Denies Me. Short film, screenplay. Fade in. Exterior, space, timelessness. A pitch dark expands. No galaxy, no planet, not even a star. Thump, a distant sound echoes. A ripple formed as if a pebble dropped into the calm lake into the dark of night. Thump, the disquieting sound continues with an anomalous rhythm. Cut to exterior, earth, a field. The wind blows through the grass. Narrator voiceover. We shall remember the exercise of the wind. The dissolution into nothingness is the dissolution into unity, for there is no nothingness. It is now December 95th, 2080. Man is again at the mercy of nature. The one who controls the environment is the king. As the wind continues to blow, match cut to interior, Atlantic Canada bed and breakfast night. A cluster of wood ashes ascends from the bonfire. A shadow of a monstrous creature covers the shoddy, worn-out kitchen wall. A hand forms the word tyranny on the Scrabble board. Narrator voiceover. This is where I come in. I am Nikosi, one of the leaders of the Illuminati, and owner of a technological effect called Concern that has controlled the weather on Earth for decades, and it has affected humans with increasing confusion over the years. Exterior. Atlantic Canada B&B night. A desolate city in a December thundersnow. A rotten mist spread all over as far as the eyes can see. Like the aftermath of a jungle burnt down, the sky is ominous. Grass, weed, and vine has colonized the planet. Scattered clusters of skeletons can be seen everywhere. The B&B is one of the many shattered remains of buildings. At a far distance, a dome building can be seen. Cutaway on Concern. The Concern home is surrounded by 9 layers of translucent aurora shields that appear like a rainbow, expanding around the dome and piercing the sky. Note, it looks like Concern looks like Surrey in the Collider in Switzerland. It's eerily quiet, as if the world has just given up on itself. Narrator voiceover. We caused mismemories, the Mandela effect, and created illusionary realms. Back to scene. A shadow looms over the B&B building. The ground around the B&B rumbles, perhaps something horrendous crawling up towards the building. Narrator voiceover. But it continued, like darkness that never ceases. Now we face Quackophile, and the negatively oriented consciousness that arrived on the planet. The negative in spirituality want to benefit from fear, and the positive want to serve for love. Quackophile is the derivative of darkness, pledged to destroy the timelessness and foreverness of the universe, thus causing all of creation into nothingness. Interior, Atlantic Canada, B&B, evening. The Scrabble game continues. An old woman's hand trembles as it forms the word ditties from tyranny. Abby off screen. Short, simple song, soft chuckle. Reveal Umdali Dali, a domesticated woolly mammoth elephant hybrid, swats at fruit flies as he watches the game of Scrabble being played between two mortals. His shadow looms on the wall behind him. The narrator voiceover. The absolute law has chosen my son instead of me to fulfill the mission, but I wonder, can the absolute law be wrong? Point of view of Bikunal, an old board game with worn out edges. The colors of the board have turned pale. Narrator voiceover. For Bikunal to fulfill his purpose, he must evolve through a series of lives, ending each one intentionally. It is known that suicide brings nightmares, healing, and reincarnation, where you choose your biological parents and go through a catalyst in life. Through an insemination trick, he will choose himself to be his own father. Bikunal places the word tiles to form abrogate, to abolish, do away with, and annul, especially in authority. He has a dark tattoo of 2 opposing C's forming an X. Note is also a symbol for freedom and emancipation. Narrator voiceover. Bikunal, my only son, wants no meaning to life. He desires only nothingness. He just wants to be alone. A distant hustling is heard. Dali looks away, trying to decipher, then dismisses it instantly, too lazy to process it. Abby off screen. Can we finish this in the future? Dali turns back to the players. Reveal Abby, 79, is playing against Bikunal, 19, both settled on the floor. Abby laboriously rubs her palms. Abby continued, my hands are cold. Bikunal looks up at her with concern. Beat. Bikuna, it is nothing, mistress, just go lie down. That's the last words Elizabeth Bathory ever heard when she died. His voice had a calming touch. Abby gives an understanding nod to him and gets up. Bikuna has a satchel wrapped around his neck, resting on the side waist. A butt of a knife is protruding out of the bag. Dally gets up and comes over to Abby like a loyal pet. Abby takes his support to find her balance, then gently pats his chest and heads over to the room. Dally watches her, then turns to Bikuna, who meets his gaze. They communicate without words. Dally grabs a box of Ouija boards from the kitchen table nearby. The kitchen is cluttered as if ravished long ago. Dally settles across Bikuna, placing the Ouija board between them. Cutaway on Abby. Abby is in her bedroom. She lays on a bed and looks at the ceiling. It is painted pink. Abby closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. Back to scene. Bikuna's left hand and Dally's trunk gently touches the planchet. It is still at first. Hello. Hello. Bikuna, is tonight the night? The planchet slowly moves to the spot marked yes. Abby and Dally exchange a quick, curious glance. The planchet then moves around to spell out, I should say Bikuna. That's a mistake. I'm Abby, I'm new here. All is well. I don't know how to edit this. The game comes to an end as the planchet goes to the spot marked goodbye. Bikuna closes his eyes for a moment. Abby voice over a distant echo. I am Abby, am new here. All is well. Abby's bedroom later. Bikuna opens the bedroom door and glances inside. Abby's lifeless body is laying on the bed. He slowly closes the door as if still not wanting to disturb her sleep. Kitchen. Bikuna returns to the kitchen. He's holding a large knife. The satchel is open. Dally looks at him with puppy eyes. His shadow is still falling on the wall behind. Bikuna steps forward and his shadow engulfs Dally's shadow. Later, close up on Dally's troubled eyes track away to reveal Dally is lying sideways on the floor with its trunk straightened out. Bikuna's hand places the knife on the trunk skin and then thrusts with force. Blood oozes out as Bikuna slowly and meticulously carves out a chunk of meat from the trunk. Later, the trunk meat is being baked over the bonfire while Dally is lying in a pool of blood. His body shuddered as if going through bouts of shock. Bikuna pokes with a finger to check if the meat is cooked enough. Holding cell. Violet, 20s. A young woman is cooped up in one corner of this shabby room. A shackle around her right foot keeps her chained to the wall. Bikuna opens the door and enters, holding a plate of food. Violet looks at him anxiously. Bikuna, it has happened. Violet's eyes oozes out her pain. Bikuna settles in front of her and keeps the meal between them. Both dig into the meat and chew. Their eyes meet. Bikuna gulps the morsel in his mouth. Bikuna, I will come to you. Bikuna gets up and leaves as Violet watches. Communication room. Bikuna is in a makeshift communication room. He sends a pager message to a contact named Bigfoot. Bikuna, Abby sends all is well. Kitchen. Bikuna returns to the kitchen. He fishes out his knife from the satchel and heads over to Dally. He gorges out the eyes first and puts them gently on the floor. Dally's shuddering body gradually comes to rest. Bikuna then carves out the ears and places them beside the eyes. Then he amputates the nose and rearranges them with the eyes and ears. Then he carves out the tongue and puts it beside the chopped trunk. Finally, he digs out the heart of Dally. The room floor is now covered in blood. Bikuna is exhausted. He turns around and rests his back on Dally's dead body. He places the knife across his neck and closes his eyes. In Kukululu Keiko. In one swift motion, Bikuna drags his knife across his neck. Blood spurts out. Bikuna's blood droplets mix with Dally's blood. The knife slips and drops. Bikuna's hand drops on the floor and lands on the freshly carved out heart of Dally. Bikuna's body shudders, the last-ditch effort of life to hold on to this physiological construct. Bikuna digs his claws into Dally's heart. His grip tightens and loosens as his body struggles in the final moments. Exterior, heaven's stairway, timelessness. A stairway emerged out of the clouds with infinite steps disappearing into a blinding light above. Abby finds herself on the bottommost step. She looks up. There appears to be 79 steps, then a cloud of light. She looks around. Dirty, dark hands of people crawling out of the bottom trying to grab her feet. Above, bright, clean hands of people willing to lift her. On the sides, a montage of her life's crucial moments is played out on a loop. Abby walks the first steps. Her age drops from 79 to 69. The first 10 steps. A decade of her life has just been played out in front of her already. Abby's curious and walks 10 more steps. Age drops to 59, 10 more steps, she's 49, 10 more steps and she's 29. She feels younger and lively. Strangely, she begins to resemble more and more like Violet now. Abby looks up, a bright light waiting for her at the final step. Exterior nightmare zone, timelessness. A boat floating away on a fiery lake of lava. Kundikhanyela's on the wooden boat that would soon turn to ash. Skulls floating around everywhere, gradually eroding. An octopus-like creature with elephant trunks for tentacles crawls behind him.
Go easy on the smoking, man. That's all I can smell, please.
Okay, sorry. Kundikhanyela can see the trunk inching closer to him. He looks at the remaining distance anxiously, wishing the floating boat would speed up, but towards what? Ahead of him there's the dark, ugly mist from where a maddening blend of human shrieks is heard. The octopus trunks suck the lava and sprinkle it on Kundikhanyela. The lava droplets fall on his right arm and his skin erodes. Kundikhanyela shrieks in pain. The boat is also eroding and disintegrating. The tentacle trunk tries again. This time it gets it right as the tire burns away, revealing his charring skin. The octopus creature grabs his left arm and like a snake twirls around it, crushing it. The bones crackle. Kundikhanyela shrieks in pain. The octopus creature, having done its thing, lets go of his arms, which now hangs on by his shoulder like a sack of pulp. Every bone inside is reduced to pulp. Another tentacle trunk sucks lava and sprinkles it on his left arm. Skin erodes and gooey pulp oozes from the pores. Kundikhanyela drops to his knees, overwhelmed with pain. Another tentacle trunk grabs hold of his right arm and sucks the skin off, exposing the muscle layer, which melts away from the lava sprinkles to reveal the bones. Kundikhanyela's boat almost enters the mist. The octopus creature, with its tentacles, grabs the rest of the boat, the rear end of the boat. Kundikhanyela turns around. The octopus creature emerges out of the lava. Kundikhanyela is mortified. Point of view of Kundikhanyela. A flash glimpse of him, Dally. He retreats and falls back. The octopus creature emerges, fully revealing its humongous form. Kundikhanyela crawls towards the front end and leaps into the mist, but the tentacle trunks grab hold of his right foot and drags him back. Kundikhanyela looks around frantically and spots the shotgun. The tentacle trunks hold the boat from disappearing into the mist. The octopus creature closes in. Kundikhanyela grabs the shotgun and places the muzzle under his chin. The octopus creature hovers above his head where there is no escape. The octopus creature grins. Another flash glimpse of him, Dally. Kundikhanyela pulls the trigger. Bullet traverses through his skull, pierces through the pineal gland, and emerges out the frontal bone. Blood oozes out of his skull and down to his nose. The octopus creature uses his tentacles to pierce into his skin and pull out its heart. Places the ripped out heart in Kundikhanyela's hand, then releases its hold on the boat. The boat disappears into the mist. Exterior healing zone, timelessness. In the middle of a vast expanse of a frozen ocean, Kundikhanyela's body is sealed in an ice slab. A blue, luminescent fluid of life energy is flowing into his body from the edges of the ice slab. His body reconstructs cell by cell. It appears Kundikhanyela's hand is still holding on to Dally's heart. Life energy flows into the heart as well. The heart begins to thump. First beat. The ice cracks. Kundikhanyela's restored body is lying unconscious on the ocean surface. His grip loosens and Dally's heart slips out. Extreme close-up of Kundikhanyela's eyes. He opens it. Match cut to a transition zone. Timelessness. Pull away from Kundikhanyela's eyes. He's sitting across an 11-year-old silver-eyed, angelic-looking Abby, Violet. They are at an empirical place surrounded by white mist. They have a Scrabble board laid out in front of them. Young Abby is pondering as she studies the word abrogate. Kundikhanyela watches her. She's calm and serene. He, however, still appears like a man lost in the desert without water for days. Tabby forms the word evitable. Kundikhanyela studies it intently, then looks up at her. She lets out a faint, enigmatic smile. Kundikhanyela snaps and tosses over the board in a fit of rage. Nothingness is inevitable. Abby gently. Also inevitable is the absolute law. Beware of the lingering ghost. Kundikhanyela. Dally Dolly? Abby meets Kundikhanyela's curious gaze. Beat. Abby, the ghost nods. The ghost waits in your path to stop you. The next cycle won't be easy. Abby gets up to walk away. Kundikhanyela watches her. Abby stops to glance at him one more time, then turns back. Match cut to heaven's stairway. Timelessness. Young Abby is on the final 10 steps of the stairway. Kundikhanyela watches her from far below. Half of him is still submerged in the darkness. As Abby ascends, she is turned into an infant. She cries and crawls into the light. Kundikhanyela watches blankly. Then he's sucked back into the darkness. An elephant's trumpet is heard from the darkness. Interior, underground passageway, dawn. Bigfoot's called Malik and he dwells in underground passageways. Violet is in labor. Bigfoot helps her with the delivery. Violet spreads her legs apart, shrieking in pain. She grabs onto anything she could reach out to, struggling to thrust the infant out of her body. A baby boy slides out through a pool of blood. On its right wrist there seems to be a tattoo, as was on Kundikhanyela. An elephant's trumpet is heard from far away. Violet shudders and looks up, anxious. Abby voiceover gently. Also inevitable is the absolute law. Beware the lingering ghost. Abby voiceover. The ghost waits in your path to stop you. This next cycle won't be easy. Infant Kundikhanyela turns his head towards the distant trumpet, close in on infant Kundikhanyela's determined gaze. Kundikhanyela voiceover. The eventuality will take 601 years. This battle will go on for that long, but I am ready to do what it takes for nothingness. Fade to black. End. Page 13 of 13. The world. It is 2080. Man is again at the mercy of nature. The man who controls the environment is the king. Concern and technological effect has taken over the planet Earth and created illusory realms for humans to remain trapped in. Nikosi, Kundikhanyela's father, is head of concern. Quackophile, a fraction of the negatively oriented consciousness in control of the Illuminati, pledged to eternal darkness, is all set to destroy timelessness and foreverness of the universe. Kundikhanyela's destiny is to inherit concern from his elite father and cause complete the dissolution of unity and consciousness to destroy timelessness and or foreverness, thus causing all of creation to be turned into nothingness. Planet Earth is transforming into a habitable environment. It is considered as the new home by some traveling species of the universe of a positive nature. Inhabitants of Earth will have a light radiating aura as the closest substitute to physical form chemical body. This is designed to facilitate spiritual growth of inhabitants. Malik, Bigfoot dwell in underground passageways on the planet Earth. The work for Quackophile. The law. Spiritual growth of a human being is hampered when the individual commits suicide. It's for not taking into account the free will of other selves, in which case the individual's consciousness entity has to pass through various phases of transformation to repeat the cycle of existence again. Those who committed suicide go through nightmare process, healing process, and finally reincarnation process. Protagonist. Kundikhanyela has forever been obsessed with nothingness. Let's try Kundikhanyela. Kunal ends his life intentionally, which forces him to go through a transformation cycle. Once he goes through the nightmares, he finishes the healing process and is given a choice to choose his parents for the reincarnation. He chooses Abby's great-granddaughter Violet as his biological mother for the next life, and through an insemination trick becomes the first person in human existence to literally be his own father. Kunal, in his next life, is destined to become a dream stenographer fit to take control of concern. Story events 2080 Canada. Kunal and Abby are playing an old board game Scrabble while mammoth elephant hybrid Dali watches. Abby retires for the night. Kunal and Dali perform a Ouija board ritual only to find out Abby has passed away in sleep. Kunal goes to Abby's room to confirm she's gone. Kunal initiates his suicide ritual. He ruthlessly and meticulously slays Dali first, and while he is still breathing, takes a chunk of the mammoth's trunk to share as the last meal with Violet, who is chained up in another room. Kunal goes to Violet and gives her the news of Abby's demise. He also shares the news with the contact from Bigfoot. Finally, Kunal slits his own throat. As Abby's spirit is passing through the purgatory, her life of 79 years flashes in front of her. Her spirit is transported to a realm where she descends down an infinite staircase, which disappears into a bright white light. As she descends, her age reduces until she becomes a toddler and can no longer crawl up the stairs any further. Kunal's spirit arrives at purgatory. It is the hall of nightmares at the start, and he encounters Abby at the end to finish the Scrabble game and discuss things about life and its intentions. Dali tries to stop Kunal over the course of 601 years.
Man, if you don't start listening, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
What did I not listen to?
It's a smoke, man. It's a fucking chimney in here. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get kicked the fuck out. You say, yeah, I'll do that. And then boom, the instant I'm asleep or not here, you're back to your old fucking ways.
I haven't smoked since you told me to put it out.
Yeah, bullshit, man. Not with the fucking smell of it in here. I'm not stupid.
I literally haven't
Fucking
smoked.
chain smoking all night when I was asleep.
I was sleeping when you were sleeping.
No, you weren't. I was awake while you were asleep. I was awake when you woke up. But then I fell asleep.
My story, now being created as a 52-page graphic novel. I hope to sell the final product as well as it is Canadian. Kundikhanyela It, denoted 2080 to 2681, is a story inspired from many things the creator has experienced throughout the past decade, including the love light research transcripts, the phenomenon known as the Mandela effect, a Datsura trip, and the language of Xhosa. It starts off during December in the year 2080. The protagonist is the fearless 19-year-old Kunal. He approaches any pain unflinchingly and plans to go through suicide, to go through the nightmare processes, the healing process, and the reincarnation processes, to commit many suicides over the next 601 years, each time being more and wiser. skillful. His father was an elite man at the top of the Illuminati and spent his life and afterlife benefiting from fear rather than serving for love. B. Cornell inherits technology from group souls of negatively oriented consciousness that have always been in control of the now self-exiting to space via flying objects Illuminati. Concern is the technological effect that has controlled most of the weather on Earth for a century and has affected humans with confusion for decades. Its endgame goal is to turn all of creation into nothingness, but can't just yet because of humanity. During the healing and reincarnation processes, you can choose your next family, and Kunal chooses a 13-year-old girl named Violet, who was enslaved by her own free will to become his biological mother, and himself through an insemination trick as his own biological father. He is born again in underground passageways and is raised by Xhosa-speaking entities that humans would sometimes refer to as Bigfoot. He is raised to use his perfect memory recall to implement a technique involving unique Ouija boards and floor model television sets to set to white noise called dream stenography to make updates in the finalization of concern. Violet's great-grandmother Abby cordially passes the time by playing B. Kunal in a series of board games until her timely death of natural causes inside her sleeping cell. Once he feels no pulse, B. Kunal murders her domesticated woolly mammoth elephant hybrid companion of the past 45 years and shares a piece of its trunk as its last meal to share with Violet. When Abby dies, she is transported to the bottom of a staircase of light that has her entire life starting from her birth all the way up to her death flashing on the walls. As she begins her climb, she is of her elderly age but decreases in age and becomes more youthful the more she climbs until she is an infant and can climb no further. Dally Dolly, the murdered woolly mammoth elephant hybrid, out of concern for positively oriented consciousness, becomes a powerful lingering ghost determined to stop concern and convince B. Kunal that he does not want nothingness. Why does B. Kunal want to replace all life and earth and air and water and fire with nothingness? He does not wish to be part of a group soul. He does not wish to serve for love. He does not wish to benefit from fear. B. Kunal wants to be alone, and to do that he and everything else must not exist. Kundikhanyela It, 2080 to 2681.